Hello, hello, and welcome everyone to the August Union Community Call. I'm Stephen Simo of Union Labs, and we have with us Karel, CEO, Lovnish, Head of Ecosystem, and Urian from the engineering team. We're going to be going over what has happened in the last month, as well as a little sneak peek of the upcoming roadmap. Just a part of it. We're going to be publishing more of it later. But for now, let's go in and recap what has happened over the past month. Let's go to the next slide, and then Karel, it's over to you.
Yeah, so I feel like it's been once again a month where Union got so much shit done. So I hope that we keep upholding our reputation of building and shipping. So we had the announcement for ROBTC, our native Bitcoin LST that we're building in collaboration with the entire Babylon BSN ecosystem. For that, I'll be going to Hong Kong as well in 2 weeks to talk with various partners and basically onboard the first few parties into our ecosystem. With this, we announced the Union Boost as well, and us being officially part of the Babylon ecosystem. We'll have more on that in the roadmap once we fully publish it and how pivotal Union's role in this will be. But very happy with basically acquiring this role in this ecosystem. V3.2 Live, more bug fixes. We migrated testnet from proof of authority to proof of stake. So technically our testnet is now fully decentralized as well. This is part of our kind of getting the training wheels off testnet to make sure we can migrate mainnet fully correctly as well once with TGE. We had Gandalf join us from the Bedrock team. Gandalf previously led the Bitcoin LST at Bedrock, acquiring, I think they have $1 billion in TVL, and now joined Union specifically to work on ROBTC to basically build a hopefully even better product. We had Matt Yaps season 1 start, which I hope you guys all appreciated us basically giving season 0 members a head start on everyone else. So the way we kind of constructed our Mad Yaps campaign was trying to figure out a way to reinvest in Union, because obviously we want to reward our early participants, but we also need to invest in Union, right? And basically make it grow even bigger. And so I think that the middle road that we found right now with the Mad Yap campaign really delivers well on this. Finally, the ceremony is fully completed, making Union the biggest ZK ceremony out there. Almost 6,000 participants, and the actual payload that all of you collectively generated, I think is over 8 terabytes. I think even 2. So it's bigger, I think, than Ethereum's full state. So with that, we actually generated a massive amount of data to be able to secure our circuits. So for everyone that managed to participate, thank you so much. And finally, Azure, we announced that they're building their one-click chain abstracted liquid staking hub for Union. And on that, I think we'll have a lot more to announce in the next coming weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we're going to go to Urian, who's going to talk about indexing.
ZK Gem. I am Urian, and my main responsibility is the indexing part of Union. Now, what is indexing? It's everything between what happens on chain and the data you see in the app, which means collecting the on-chain data, organizing it, and exposing it in an API. This API is consumed by the app, but can also be used by integrators. Next slide, please. Thank you. Well, this is a series of slides that's part of the migration from our initial setup of indexing to where we're going. The initial setup was really centralized. It is supporting, up to about 20 chains. And this is what we've been using since testnet 8. It means all data is in one database. The Squarebox Hubble was collecting all the data from chain, putting it in a database. We used Hasura, which is kind of a tool to expose that data that's in a database into an API. And our app was connected to Hasura to display the data. Now this worked pretty good up until a month or 2 ago, because then data got really big. it couldn't handle the amount of data anymore. So it was time to think of the next steps, how to make the indexing part from centralized to decentralized. The next slide shows where we're heading. We really want to have all the indexing be decentralized, so it's not bound to one service or one place or one owner. And this picture is kind of the end game. It provides a Google kind of horizontal scalability by using a message bus, but without using Google, of course. We want everything to be open source and be used by anyone. And with scaling, it's not only about scaling the number of users using the data, but also the number of chains connected to it. Having 1,000 chains in one database is not feasible. So you must be able to create subsets, and that's where we're heading. And it's not only decentralized, but it's also modular, which means you can plug in unsupported chains to the infrastructure, which provides the data, which can then later on be indexed. And then the next slide is where we're currently at. Still a work in progress. We already introduced the message bus. We named Nimbus. We already extracted logic from the database into Hubble, which is our current monolith. The next step is to split the monolith into the system we call Spitzer. Spitzer will be responsible of scraping all the data from the chains, providing data into Nimbus, and Hubble main only task will be consume the data from the bus and insert it into the database. That's it.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah. Thank you for going into that. More information will, of course, become about that as more of it gets deployed. But for now, we'll continue on. Next slide, please. Just some community from the last month. Of course, we talked about Mad Yaps. Season 0 is totally complete. That one's already locked in. Season 1 is in full swing. For those who missed it, released a Yapper guide. Go check the main Union accounts feed. It's a good way to get started, or think up some additional content if you're looking for some inspo. Testnets got to 300 million transfers. Big thank you to all the testers. That's absolutely insane. I believe we've been Union's been the top app on Kepler for like 7 months in a row or something like that, 6 or 7 months. Absolutely crazy. Added the Union server tag on Discord. I want to see everybody on the Union Discord using that, so make sure to go add that. Big thank you, as always, to community stars. We added more community stars this past month. These people are really, really helping the community feel lively and helping a ton of people. So big props. Also, Union Labs is on LinkedIn. Please go follow if you have not already. That helps with all those little conversations we have, especially the stuffier types like to see that number large. So go give us a follow. That helps out. And finally, Dashboard's got some maintenance coming. Just wanted to flag that. I know a bunch of people in the community here are waiting for some of the things to be fixed there. So that's on the horizon. We've also done a ton of video again this past month. That was a bunch of Union Hall casts, 4 of them, as well as the Union Film Fest watch party. It was a lot of fun. Thank you to all who joined that one. Some of my favorite Union Hall casts this past month, though that's like picking your favorite child. Krill has been all over the show on the roll up, Bitcoin Renaissance, Lazy TV, all great. I especially recommend the Lazy TV spot. That one was really, really nice, really chill vibes. A lot of really good information in there, though. And then Sarah had her podcast debut on Token for Your Thoughts. Definitely check that out if you have not. And then Union events, Union IRL. So Love Nations is you.
Yep. So for IRL events, like we are missing one pic here. So I was traveling. I wasn't able to update this slide. So we hosted one event in Nigeria. Then I was there in ETH Vietnam. I headed to GM Vietnam, ETH Vietnam, and I had a talk around interoperability and cross chain at ETH Vietnam. The builder energy was crazy over there, and like there are a couple of teams that we'll working soon with, and I have connected with. And coming up, the union team will be around Bitcoin Asia. As Carol mentioned, he'll be there in Hong Kong soon. So if you are around, don't forget to say a ZKGM. And we have a couple of events coming in South America, Colombia, and Peru to be precise. And there will be a side event around Eid Safari in Kenya too this month. So that's what's happening in real life front.
Very nice. Now, the big one for today. We're going to give a roadmap preview. This is just a preview, a partial preview as well of 2 of the sections. The rest of it will be published on union.build. But for now, Karan, over to you.
Yeah, so just to confirm, everyone, basically, me and Core had loads of various designs for kind of the next 3 years for Union. And as many requested, they wanted to know, like, hey, what are we doing in the next couple of months, but also what's the big plan, right? Like what's the end goal of Union? What are we actually building towards? So we spent 2 weeks distilling this into various documents, which we call kind of sub-projects. The reason for that is, of course, like Union is almost like let's say like octopus, right? Like we have stuff that we do for Babylon, we have stuff that we do for, let's say, integrating Monad. And so it's not one linear roadmap, it's multiple items at the same time. Specifically for people joining this call, we basically have this preview with what I think is some of the most exciting stuff that we're working towards. The real roadmap will probably be published in a couple of days on the website, which means that everyone here gets a head start with this knowledge. This is basically to appreciate you guys. And try to listen to your feedback indeed. And although I have many ideas in my head, sometimes I fail to share them with you publicly. And so this is the first step to doing so. Lovnish, go ahead with the next slide. Yeah, so of course our biggest objective, and I've shared this before, I think, is achieving sub-second proof generation. What that really allows us is to do almost real-time bridging. I think if you can do a bridge operation under a second, that is real-time bridging. The first step to achieving that is making sure that 100% of our proof generation is GPU accelerated. And that will most likely get us to the 1 to 2 second range. Currently, what's running on like Succinct Prover network and also on Boundless is all GPU proving. And basically that will allow us to scale to what I think is extremely good. The second step in our plan here is actually using specific hardware purposefully built for Union. Seismic is a project that builds this kind of technology. So for those who have been watching the Union Hall cast, you might have tied together some of the alpha that we're up to. And that in our current experiments gives a good estimate on what we'll be able to achieve. We think ourselves that sub 100 millisecond proof generation is possible in the next 2 years or so. That will basically allow Union to do bridge operations as fast as almost like Solana blocks are being produced. And that would truly put us on the very top and kind of be the true end game of Interop. This is not something that we built on by ourselves. This is something that we built with various partners and something that pushes the forefront of ZK. But something we're very excited to be able to get out in the next 2 years. Next one, please. Another big step is distributed proof generation, which basically means that we decouple provers from relayers in the architecture. It already is decoupled in the code itself, but right now, every party that is relaying is also doing proof generation. By decoupling it, we can connect better to proving markets directly. And we can basically, in Union's ecosystem, have parties that only generate proofs without caring about interop, without relaying at all. And we can have just relayers, which don't care about proving whatsoever. This separation allows parties to much better focus on what they are good at. Because normally relayers are quite good at observing fee markets on chain, dealing with gas price fluctuations, while provers have access to specific hardware. They're more like miners. Formalizing this separation basically allows us to scale each individually, and basically also allows Union to tie into prover markets directly. The other one is aggregated proof submission. Basically, we already have a partnership with Aligned Layer, but we have more plans to build out aggregated proof submission, which makes Union even cheaper at scale. This allows us to basically tie in our proofs with other ZKPs, and so basically leverage, for example, Boundless as a signal to make the relaying even cheaper, which in turn ties into higher fees earned for the Union network. So that basically makes the revenue earned by the protocol higher and more value going back to the token. And finally, basically the two formal proving market integration. Right now, there's really only two proving markets out there, but what we want to achieve is basically being generic for any proving market, because we suspect with increased mindshare in ZK and increased amount of applications leveraging ZK, that we're going to get way more proving markets out there. And so we want unions to stay lean and flexible and be able to more easily integrate with new proving markets as well. And something that I'm very much excited about is client-side proving. Basically, what this means is that your web browser can generate a ZKP to perform the bridging. This also means that you would no longer need to pay a relayer a transfer fee. This only works, of course, if you have tokens on the destination chain. So let's say you already have ETH on base, then this is something that you would be able to do. This actually allows Union to scale to like 100,000 machines, like a massive amount of scale, where basically every single user could potentially self-relay. For users, this is good because they pay a much lower fee, but this also massively decentralizes the network. Because right now, if you were to technically take out all relayers operating Union, then the bridge itself would pause and new engineers would set up new relayers. With client-side proving, it would literally be impossible for Union to stop operating because users that submit transfers in the UI would be generating their own proofs and settling them. What this requires is us using the GPU accelerated code that we are building for our sub-second proof roadmap and port that over to use Web GPU, which is basically the GPU API that your browser exposes. And with that, you can actually very efficiently generate proofs in the browser. So this is something that we are extremely excited about. This is something that helps privacy massively and decentralization as well. So we're basically observing right now, once we have GPU accelerated proving, how quickly we can get this out to market as well. And now a little bit on the Union chain itself, the L1. So for some of you that might have been following Union for a long time, you might have thought of us as like only a bridging project and compare us with, let's say, Relay or Cross. But for those who are a bit more technically apt, you might have realized that Union is more of a like liquidity layer and aggregation hub. So it can achieve more stuff than just a regular bridge. We always downplayed this in our roadmap because we initially wanted to focus purely on bridging and get that right. And now that we are quite confident that we can get this right, we want to actually highlight more the idea that builders can actually deploy on this liquidity layer directly. Right now, the VM that we have is still permissioned, which means only the Union team can actually deploy on this. We have partners that have access to this. So for example, the Abstract Money team and the Azure team have access to deploy. And over time, we will broaden the scope for parties to basically do a first-class deployment with hopefully in the end, actually making it fully permissionless. This ties in a little bit in the choice of VM as well, and potentially also speeding up the Union L1. Next slide, please. This is a little fun one in between, but we actually did an analysis of how sustainable is Union right now and how sustainable can we get it. For 2025, we are actually on track for the entire Union network, including the relayers, including the provers, to be 80% powered by renewable energy, which, to be honest, I actually think is quite important for mass adoption. Blockchains often get the criticism that they are power hungry, that they pollute, that they're not the most efficient solution. Now, Union actually doesn't use that much power because of how efficient our proving stack is. But on top of that, even for the electricity that we consume, we want this to have zero effect on climate change. This helps us basically have a higher appeal to the regular markets, and especially within Europe, this is something that is appreciated by the European markets. I'm quite confident because actually I think that we're going to achieve the 80% powered by renewable energy maybe at the end of August already. And our 2026 goal will easily be achievable. And finally, for the Union L1, simply increase bandwidth. This is something that we noticed during testnet, testnet 8 specifically. When you guys had access to the chain itself, it got overloaded. The reason we didn't put missions back on is, I'm very ashamed to say, we have too many users. We have too many people clicking, and the chain itself got overloaded, which affected the wire network. So there's two newer things that we need to implement to basically allow the chain to be fully accessible for everyone and get the amount of usage that we intended to have. One is in the storage layer. Now, we can just arbitrarily upgrade Union storage layer because the storage layer and the way it's laid out in a Merkle tree, for those who are more technically knowledgeable, actually ties into what we prove in the ZK layer as well. So it's not just a single switch we can turn up and make it go faster, because we have to make sure that it still remains provable and provable in under seconds. The other part is the peer-to-peer layer, which is basically how do validators communicate with each other? Where are they located across the world? How fast are those connections to each other? This is also quite important to achieve 200 millisecond block times. Now, for this, we've now started collaborating more closely with individual validators, basically looking at ways to speed up the network overall for advice that they have, and also building out the roadmap for speeding up this layer itself. 200 millisecond block times, I think we'll probably see about 2 years after a full mainnet. However, we will see incremental changes as we progress. So we might see us go down to 2 seconds and then 1 second. And then finally, the 200 millisecond one is the hardest to achieve because that's actually extremely fast block times. And we'll see if Union even needs this. So the full roadmap is going to be published later. I hope you guys took screenshots and have some early alpha to share with outsiders. With this, I'll do a long write-up as well, explaining some of our reasoning and some of our planning overall.
All right, thank you. Very good. Yeah, so that'll be coming soon. Now we saw some questions from the community, so we're going to go through a few of these now. So thank you for everybody that submitted cues. We'll start off. Consto asks, what is the current timeline for Union mainnet launch and remaining technical steps?
Yeah, so I've said this before in community calls, guys, but there are certain legal restrictions with sharing timelines on your TGE, commitments that you make with exchanges. I can drop some alpha though. We already know what the Union token address is. So internally, the team is aware what the ERC20 address is. So from that, you guys can kind of deduce how like close we are to it. Of course, there can still be hiccups, and that's why we don't like sharing like a hard deadline on this. But literally the entire company is only focused on full mainnet right now.
Yes, can confirm. That's basically everything right now. Several people have asked questions about the Kaito update. So I'll take this one. Core team's in constant contact with Kaito, and just working with them to make sure any updates serve the goal of increasing authentic attention about Union. And a lot of this is down to Kaito. We don't control them, their algorithm, stuff like that. They do work with us on them, so if they have options, then we can choose the one that fits the best. There's some things we can tweak, but it's still down to Kaito. They're the ones that are in control and are the specialists in this. So it comes down to them. That said, I wanted to give some advice to everybody asking this as a marketing person. Best way to succeed as a yapper, regardless, is just to grow your following by creating authentic, unique content that's valuable. If you do that, doesn't matter what Kaito does, you'll be able to climb any leaderboard they put out because you have a bigger audience that likes your content, likes what you do. So don't focus on trying to figure out the system. Just focus on your craft. Ufuk, Hokage, Rob Inwoods, Shinosuka. These are all people who yap about Union all the time and are very good at this. So study what they do, and don't worry too much about the algorithm. That's my advice. Also, Mikado asked if the Kaito update would affect Season 0 leaderboard standings. That one I can't answer. No, those are locked. Now, Eastwood asks, what chains will be integrated on launch?
Yeah, so effectively, obviously, all of the chains that we've integrated on testnet right now will quickly go live post-launch. We already, of course, have a few live on our developer-only mainnet on btc.union.build. We have some new ones in the works. So I don't think BSC is fully live yet, right, Stephen? But all of the tech work for that is done. Right now, we are working with the BSC validators and potentially with the team over at the chain itself to do some co-marketing for the full-on launch around that. So we have some new chains actually going live, hopefully in the next couple of weeks as well.
Oh, amazing. Idahan asks, and he partially answered this, but where does Union see itself in the next 5 to 10 years? So you did like a couple of years or maybe 3 years. How about after?
Yeah, exactly. So let's go like 5 years from now. So when we finish most of the technical roadmap that I shared for everything, hopefully. So we'll have an insanely fast core. We'll be able to probably in 5 years generate proofs in like 20 milliseconds, right? It's like it'll be like absurdly fast. And we'll be integrated to approximately every single chain out there. On top of that, we now see like today we had another like ARC, the new stablecoin chain that has been announced by which group was it?
Circle, right?
Circle, yeah. So we already see like the Union thesis playing out. Like people are building chains specifically for their product. So if this trend keeps continuing, then basically in 5 years we're going to have 1,000 chains in actual use as well. Like not dead chains, not projects that were rugged, but actually companies operating their own chain for valid use cases, and Union sitting in between all of this. So David on Twitter had a really good remark where he said like Interop is a $100 billion market out there. And to be honest, there's really only 4 good Interop providers, and Union is one of them. So I suspect there's some massive growth potential for Union in the next couple of years with the current trends.
Love it. Yeah, that's good company to be in. Tempest asks, are there any governance features launching alongside mainnet?
Yeah, so alongside the mainnet launch, you'll be able to stake and I think immediately vote as well. But vote is also delegated to your validator. So in Union's governance model, you don't need to actively vote on every single gov proposal. You can stake with the validator. And as long as you don't vote on a gov proposal, your voting power goes to your validator. This is actually quite a good system because validators, on a technological perspective, are very knowledgeable. And a lot of the governance proposals, I'll be completely honest, are not for regular users to evaluate. They will concern certain chain configuration parameters to be altered. And so your validator is a really good representative to basically vote on this. The system is kind of very similar to how governments work, where you vote on, let's say, your congressman, and your congressman then votes on individual proposals. Now, in our model, we did specifically take care of the fact that sometimes you might disagree with the validator that you're staking on. And so you can always separate your vote from your validator. So if there's a specific proposal where you actually have a strong opinion on and you want to differ from your validator, you can still vote directly on that yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And this is by the way a reason it is important to get to know the different validators and pick one that you like the people who are operating, because they will be using your voting power for you. So it's good to get to know them all. And there's a lot of really good validators that are going to be validating the Union chain. El Papito asks, where will Union's biggest revenue source come from after mainnet?
Yeah, so we have a couple of ideas on revenue. There's of course transaction fees that we charge on bridging itself. But to be honest, I think this is the lamest revenue source because in the end, charging transaction fees for each individual bridge transfer means that Union becomes a bad partner for other chains. Because Union would be making the most money if users go in and then go out again. And that's not something that other chains want. Instead, what we're looking for is really sustainable revenue sources with our partners. One of these revenue sources will be Oro BTC. I think that will be quite a big one. And the other one is our position in the BSN ecosystem, where Union is going to be used as the default bridge connector for new BSNs coming in and used as well for the payments that the BSNs do to Babylon. So what you can almost see here is how each BSN has like a contract with the Babylon chain and is sending a monthly payment for their Bitcoin security to Babylon. And that's also going over Union. So that allows us to do like high value transfers at a constant predictable rate. And so I think those two will kind of be the initial bootstrapping strategy for our revenue overall. We'll still charge transaction fees, but our plan is actually to make transaction fees go down over time. So at some point, we even reach 0 with them as these other revenue sources become the main drivers. And that makes Union the best bridge opportunity for new chains as well, because basically we'd come in with access to liquidity and no bridge fees and a lot of users, which for new chain, you just cannot deny.
Yeah, that's unbeatable. Bugs asks, who chose the whale shark as the main PFP design? And I can answer that one. The quick answer is Tucker, our head of design. He's the one who came up with the idea. However, we did make him defend that idea because the original decision kind of boiled down: did we want it to be goblins or did we want it to be whale sharks? I ended up doing both, but for the main whale shark one, we really just kind of went through and was like, how does this work? Is like a theme and a design, all these other things, and I was fairly easy to convince because I'm a diver. But he was the one who came up with the idea initially. Now G2 asks, since the Union chain will be settlement and asset issuer, is there a possibility that we'll be able to stake more assets like ETH or stables other than a BTC or a BTC?
So basically us expanding into other asset issuance. So I can give you some alpha on this as well, but we're talking right now with basically a stablecoin protocol that wants to leverage Union and potentially build various yield-bearing stables specifically to the Union ecosystem. So here as well, you can imagine that there might be like a USD tied specifically to every single Union supported chain, where you get free bridging, deep liquidity into all partner DeFi protocols, automatic yield, no matter what chain you have it on, and yield generation from basically the best chains that we support, specifically tied into Union. So that's also something that basically post full mainnet, we want to get out as a new product, which will also form a significant revenue source for Union. And with that, we might, if we see success with these two products, broaden out into more of these specific stakeable assets that will be deeply tied into the Union ecosystem.
Fantastic. Yeah. So there's a little bit of extra alpha for everybody as a reward for coming to the community call. Got a couple fun ones to end with. One, what are some fun facts about each of the Union core team members? That's from Debid.
Yeah, fun facts. So one thing we love to do is rock climbing. That's something I introduced the core team to. That's something we do on every single retreat conference where we are at. But Abdullah, one of our main engineers, who by the way loves it, he does it in his free time now as well, is completely addicted to it, has the sweatiest hands I have ever seen in my life. And so it's the funniest thing ever to see him climb because he keeps sliding off, slipping away. And so that is like almost a tradition now where we go climbing and we observe him struggling with this. So that's truly like a core Union tradition, I think.
I love it. That's really fun. And then the last one, you've talked about this in some places, but people might not know. How was the idea for Union formed? Peter Piper asks that.
So the idea lived in my mind for years, ever since 2017. It's about a year when I've been crypto for a year by then, and already then I was thinking there's way too many chains, and there needs to be a way to connect them. And blockchains are the new internet. The thing is, we didn't know about ZK Tech back then, and live clients were very theoretical at the time. So a lot of the concepts that Union is building on right now would not have been possible at all back then. They wouldn't have been possible 4 years ago even. Union is kind of so much at the forefront of ZK Tech and in general interoperability tech that really technically when we started Union, it wasn't even possible. And that's why we struggled so much for the first 6 months. We had to build out so much core technology to get where we are right now. The idea itself, and you still observe it, which is crypto is a pain to use. Blockchains are fragmented, not connected. In the end, we want all of crypto to operate effectively like an internet, like a website, and everything to be fully interconnected. And some party has to be basically the login with Google of crypto, right? It's the one way to tie everything together. I was initially hopeful that other projects would build this, actually, because I want to use crypto in the end. Like, I love Union, I love building out this stuff. But I'd hope that there be other projects that build out interoperability the way it should be. Not the way we have it right now. Like, even now, if you look at current bridges, it's like using Western Union almost. It's like a horrible experience. Even the really good bridges, right? Like, I love using Relay, I love using Across. They are ultra fast for USD. They claim to support 1,000 assets, but they don't really support 1,000 assets, right? They support like the top. But the moment I want to go to like a new chain, or not even new chain, if I want to do Ethereum to Base, but with not one of the top 3 assets, the liquidity gets so low that you're unable to do it. And so interoperability truly hasn't been solved yet, even though we have so many bridge projects. And so Union is kind of, I think, the first step to like try to solve it in the like most rigorous engineering way, to build towards a solution that can actually fix it forever, instead of trying to like duct tape what we have right now and make it acceptable for the next 6 months.
Fantastic. Yeah, well, it would be a nice problem to have actually solved. That was the last question we had. Thank you again for everybody who submitted questions. Went through a bunch of them, but we're a little over time anyway. So, thank you everybody who came. Thank you for presenting, Jurian, Lavnish, and Karat. We'll have more updates from you all the time as we march in on the next phase of Union. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, everyone. ZKGM.
Right. ZKGM.